This video has been sent to me from a person over in Canberra. I've tried to share this to other people, but Facebook and Messenger are blocking me even sharing this. It's not allowing. So this is what they're doing to the phones over there, the towers, people's phones over there.
Hey everyone, I'm just letting you know that we are in a convoy just to change parks because we've logged in, but check out what they're doing to our phones. You go on anything and this is the noise that you get. My phone is currently on silent. Please be careful of your ears. My phone is absolutely ear-pitching. You would not want to put that near your ear. All of a sudden we're all on the dance floor and it just started happening to everybody's phones, just intense squealing. So, yep, they're really doing it.
This is the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter, and the second verse. And it reads, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn." Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahweh Shai, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahweh Shai, Barakat Yahweh, Barakat Yahweh Shai. Kal Halamla, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Ruach Wadash. Double honors unto the head apostles of Great Millstone, who do rule well and teach well with sound doctrine. Shalom unto the elders and the other bishops of Great Millstone as well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings unto the hopeful elect, and a hearty shalom to the sincere brethren doing the work in truth and sincerity all over the globe, giving diligence to make their calling and election sure, building up the tabernacle of David through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai in these last days. Shalom, shalom. So this lesson is going to be entitled, In the News, Order Ab Chao Worldwide, and End Time Prophecy. So let's go into this precept again. Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And who's the righteous? The nation of Israel, beginning with the elect. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And who's in authority right now? Well, Esau, Edom, has been given the reins to rule in unrighteousness as an example of what not to do and how not to run a kingdom. And this man is in the last stages of his kingdom right now. You know, it's crumbling right before your very eyes. And it has to. That's a time, that's an end time prophecy that, you know, is being played out right in front of your face. Let's grab Psalms, the 10th chapter real quick. And what happened as far as the first clip that you seen, that happened in Australia, where you have people taking to the streets to protest what's going on all the way across the globe in Canada. And what's happening in Canada is the beginning stages of them slowly but surely implementing martial law. And that's eventually going to come to Babylon the Great. And we're starting to see the beginning stages of Esau, Edom, showing his hordes of Babylon the Great. And you're going to see that this man's the devil. He's going to show you his horns, you know, and we believe through the Spirit, you know, a certain amount of brothers believe better yet through the Spirit, that this is going to be the year he's going to roll out that charagma and put it in front of your face, as far as you making a sound decision on, you know, whether you're going to take it or not. The technology is here, you know, the infrastructure is here, and it was said by one of the wicked elites, you know, never let a good disaster go to waste, you know, roughly paraphrasing. And they're using this disaster right now, alleged disaster, you know, to try to implement a fourth industrial revolution, the Great Reset. But back to the point, you know, slowly but surely, Yahweh Bashim Shai is crumbling this place, man, you know, which needs to happen. But them jamming people's phone signals, that's just one of the many war tactics that Esau Edom is going to use, when people take to the streets. Tear gas, robotic dogs, mechanical dogs, super soldiers, blocking off streets, checkpoints, military checkpoints, no people on the freeway, no cars on the freeway, only military personnel. Let's go into one more precept, and then we'll go into a few articles and then just rocking the spirit from there. As far as, going in the news. This is Psalms, the 10th chapter, in the 3rd verse, and it reads, "For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire." What's his heart's desire? A new world order, where he's ruling and, he's the supreme God as far as, he has to say so on life and death and so on and so forth, and this man has a God complex. He wants to be as the Most High. Psalms 10:3, "The wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth." And the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yashai, who the world knows as God and Jesus, ignorantly, as far as the world calling them those names, they hate Esau Edom. Pursuant to Malachi 1:3 and 4, pursuant to Romans 9:13, Sirach 27:24, and other precepts that go into the Lord, not forgiving Esau, hating him, so on and so forth. Nahum 1:2 and 3, Hebrews 12:16 and 17. This is Psalms 10:4, "The wicked," who's the wicked? Pursuant to Job 9:24 and Malachi 1:2 and 3 and 4, Malachi 1:4, it's known to be the nation of Esau Edom, Idumea, Adawam in the Paleo Hebrew. And Adawam means red. Psalms 10:4, "The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not at all in his thoughts." And it's because it wasn't given to him, It was given to the sons of God, who later became the Israelites. This is Psalms 10:5, "His ways are grievous, thy judgments are far above out of sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them." And that's what he was doing in the form of blocking people's phone signals, jamming people's phone signals. That's just one of his war tactics that he's going to use, of many war tactics that he has to use in the tool belt right now, And it's actually Yahweh Bashim Yashai putting the spirit on this devil to reveal himself, to show you that he's the damn devil, man. Let's go into the news. So this is blacklistednews.com. And this is also in RT News as well, but this is the first report of it in blacklistednews.com that came out this morning. And then later on in the day, it was found out that Trudeau actually did this. So we'll go into what this actually is. It says Trudeau to invoke war powers act against Freedom Convoy protesters. I'm going to read it again. And this came out today, February 14th. Well, it's the 15th right now because, it's about 2 a.m. where I'm at. But it says Trudeau to invoke war powers against Trudeau to invoice War Powers Act against Freedom Convoy protesters. Police begin sabotaging truckers' heavy equipment. So what they're also doing is in Canada, it was reported that they are looking to arrest anybody who's assisting or aiding, those people, as far as the truck convoy protesters. Anybody giving water, gas, supplies, food, aid, so on and so forth. Let's go into the meat and potatoes of this article, and we'll grab a few points and keep it moving. And it says, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has told his caucus he plans on invoking the never-before-used Emergencies Act to give the federal government, that's in Canada, extra powers to handle the protests across the country, according to sources. And it reads, those sources who were not authorized to speak publicly said the Prime Minister will inform the premiers of his decision this morning. And it came out later on in the day that that decision was made. You know, it says he has invoked the Emergencies Act. What's the Emergencies Act? Well, it gives a little better detail of what this actually is in blacklistednews.com. And it says the Emergencies Act, which replaced the War Measures Act in the 1980s, defines a national emergency as temporary and urgent critical situation. It describes a national emergency as a temporary, urgent, and critical situation that seriously endangers the lives, health, or safety of Canadians and is of such proportions or nature as to be expected the capacity or authority of a province to deal with. Basically fancy language for saying, you know, we're just going to resort to the sword, threatening people, and taking this to the next level. And it says it gives powers to the Prime Minister, sounding authoritarian, sounding dictator-like. They also have this power in the United States as far as, you know, the powers that be. And the president, you know, they can do this as well in Babylon the Great in the state of a national emergency, which we're in right now with this whole thing that's going on. And it's been going on the past 2 years. Let's read this again. It gives powers to the Prime Minister to respond to 4 different types of emergency scenarios. Public welfare, aka natural disasters, disease, public order, civil unrest, international emergencies, and war emergencies. And you have all 4 of these going on right now because, you know, you have public welfare as far as, you know, people's alleged health, you know, being at risk right now, and the whole thing, you know, that's been going on the past 2 years, allegedly been going on the past 2 years, you know. Well, public order and civil unrest is happening. You have people running out of the stores in Babylon the Great. And also what you have happening as well is they're using and going to be using food as a weapon. You know, the Prime Minister of France said they want to starve people out and starve people into submission. You know, this is happening in Babylon the Great as, you know, other things are happening. This just came out today by Dabu 7. Let's play this real quick, and we'll go back into the lesson as far as, you know, the news articles.
This is Dabu 7. We're now getting word that Walmart is putting these devices on their steak, as you can see right here in this clip, stopping people from stealing it. That is how bad things have got at this point.
And also you have food prices being increased. You know, the normal steak that was $9, $10, $11, you know, at the start of this whole thing, you go back in the supermarket and that same steak is like 19, 20, 22, 23 bucks, man. You know, a pack of them. Well, Brothers was pointing this out that in certain parts of the country, they were charging $100 for a pack of steaks a few months ago, you know? You can see the prices on these steaks, $28, you know?
So these original clips were shared on TikTok showing
$20 for a single steak. That's crazy.
This ribeye steak selling for $20.83, locked up because people are stealing stuff so bad. I've showed you clip after clip, time and time again, of these people walking in the stores, taking what they want, and walking right out the front door. There's actually a clip at this length of a whole nother incident and series of events where people are filling up bags and walking right out of the store and no one is stopping them. The workers are being told do not confront them because they may react violently. Now, throughout.
And that's going to eventually lead to, them taking this to the next level in Babylon the Great, as far as martial law, because the police, they're being told to stand down, and eventually they're going to bring in, the military, aka, the foreign troops that they have here in the UN and so on and so forth pretty soon, eventually down the line, better yet. But things have to get stirred up, as far as gradually to escalate to that point. And what we're starting to see is the beginning stages of it being stirred up right next door. And the beginning stages of them talking and speaking like a dragon in Babylon the Great. And it says, it gives power to the prime minister to respond to 4 different types. I just read that. It said the act grants cabinet the ability to take special temporary measures that may not be appropriate in normal times to cope with an emergency and resulting fallout during an urgent and critical situation, aka a national emergency, aka civil unrest, which you have happening worldwide. And that's in the book of 2nd Ezra. And it says, 2nd Ezra 15 and 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And it was a few months ago that somebody slapped, I think it was the French prime minister, the French PM. Somebody just slapped him. Also, you have people taken to the streets and not caring about, what the government's saying or what state or local officials are saying. You have people going into stores, not caring, taking stuff, looting, people invading one another. As far as, in Babylon the Great in LA, you have people running up in people's houses, taking their food, taking their woman. We're in those times, man. 2nd Ezra 15 and 16, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. This is the next precept right here in this chapter, and it says 2nd Ezra 15 and 17, a man shall desire to go in a city and shall not be able. And that's being played out in certain parts of the world. Actually, it was in this Slack here. I'll just grab it. Natural, was it? Newstarget.com. It was one of the articles that came out in News Target I was looking at as far as what's going on in Canada. Come on, let me see. Yep. And it says Canadian government sued over discriminatory air travel dragon Kool-Aid mandate. So you see that, and they actually have something on the books in Babylon the Great called HR 4980, which we've brought up a few times at the camp down here in San Diego as far as Watchmen on the Coast. And that's, a bill that's being introduced by the House of Representatives for the Department of Homeland Security, to have, you have to be hit up, to travel domestically, within the United States or a territory of the United States, aka the Philippines, aka Puerto Rico, so on and so forth. That's pretty much the point with that article. Slack it, that's a different lesson. Let me see. Yep. Let's read one more paragraph. And it says, it gives, as far as the act grants, it gives the government extraordinary but limited time powers. But the time limited, it's like it gives the government extraordinary but time limited, aka powers. The act is still contingent on Parliament's approval and subject to the protections of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's in Canada. I guess that's like the House of Representatives or something like that. Not familiar with the Canadian government as far as, the structure of it, like I am with the American government. This is the next article. And it says, what Canada's Emergencies Act invoked against Freedom Convoy. And this is Esau declaring war against Esau, as far as the elites declaring war against you average everyday Edomites, man. Because, according to, the elites, the elect of Esau, Edom, on the left-hand side to be preserved for slavery, the elect of Esau, aka the elites, the Illuminati, they don't give a damn about you average everyday sloppy Joe eating, Diet Pepsi, natural ice drinking Edomites, man. They don't care about y'all. If you're not part of the billionaire dollar club, man, they don't give a damn about you. And that's why Esau is taken to the streets, because he's realizing, as far as the average everyday Joe, he's realizing that, the elite don't care. You're worthless eaters to them too. Back to the article, and it says, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will use sweeping powers to crack down on truckers protesting against the Yo Jabba Jabba Kool-Aid. And this is affecting the supply chain in Canada, because the truckers, well, they get everything to Canada. And that's just spiritual, because what you have happening right here.
Millions of players have discovered the world with Bingo Blitz. Download now and enjoy the ride.
But
This is Dabu7.
this is at Walmart, right? And at certain Walmarts and Costco's in Canada, you got to have the Dragon Kool-Aid to get in, And who's supplying, as far as these goods, to Walmart and Costco? Who's driving those goods in? The truckers, man. Back into the article. Let's lock it. And it says, what is Canada's Emergency Act invoked? So this morning it came out that he was going to do this, allegedly, or, he's thinking about it. And it came out that they invoked it, This is in effect in Canada. And it says, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has invoked the Emergencies Act, aka the Emergencies Act, which replaced the War Measures Act in the 1980s. So he's declaring war, through his emergency policies, on, anybody protesting. And eventually the narrative is going to get switched over to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because who's the face of the most likely, the person most likely to be the carrier of this whole thing that they're saying? Jake, Let's grab a precept real quick. This is the book of Daniel. Daniel 8:25. And it reads, and through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, in his mind. And by peace shall destroy many. He also shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And that's Esau Edom's fate. Yahweh Shai, when he returns, he's not going to have to lift a finger. The elect and the angels are going to be taking care of everything, man. You know? And through his policy, as far as Esau Edom's policies, his unrighteous decrees that he's drafting up left and right, you know, emergency acts, National Defense Authorization Acts, Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, Agenda 2020, whatever you want to call it in Babylon the Great, because they changed it a few times. You know, he's going to push his agenda forward. And that's what has to be played out. You know, Yahweh Bashim Yashai raised up Esau Edom to be prideful, to be in power, to be cocky, to be arrogant, just so he can show his power, just like he raised up Pharaoh. But back to the article, and then we'll run through the rest of the articles, you know, at a more rapid speed. But it says, what is the Emergencies Act? Adopted in 1988. The Emergencies Act, it doesn't say anything about the War Act. That's why I was saying the other article, Slakia, the other article is a little more detailed. But we read about it. Let's read this real quick, because it says, let's read 2 as well, as far as the first paragraph. It says, the Emergencies Act has never been invoked before. The Canadian state broadcaster CBC called its invocation on Monday unprecedented. You know? And it says, is this martial law? It says, technically, no. And technically, you know, he's not saying that, you know, he's invoking martial law right away, but eventually it's going to lead to that, you know. And these are martial law type of powers, you know, that are being invoked in Canada. You know, it says it gives powers to the Prime Minister to respond to 4 different types of emergency scenarios. And how are they going to respond? Well, they're going to respond. They're going to respawn, Slakia. They're going to respond eventually by sending the military out. You know, militarized police forces, robotic dogs, mechanical dogs. You know, it says it gives powers to the Prime Minister to respond to 4 different types of emergency scenarios: public welfare, public order, international emergencies, which we're in right now, and war emergencies. Let's go into the next article. It reads, Biden DHS declares heightened terrorism threat due to dis, and malinformation. Who is this talking about? This is talking about the servants of prophet Yahweh Bashim Shai. You know, this is a sneak diss right here. And it reads, this came out last week, but it goes into the topic as far as, you know, what's going on in the news. And it says the United States Department of Homeland Security, DHS, on February 7th declared a heightened terrorism threat due to false and misleading narratives, misinformation, and conspiracy theories. Okay, let's keep on reading. It says the agency did not say what foreign or domestic actors are responsible for the alleged proliferation of misinformation or disinformation. Alleged misinformation and disinformation, because this guy Esau Edom, he's the #1 source of misinformation on the planet. Nobody knows who they are. You got to search for the truth, like the elder in Birmingham has said many a times, you know. And through many ways and tactics, he has the world, you know, in hypnosis, psychological warfare, you know, red light, green light, you know, biological warfare, chemtrails, GMO foods, you know, trying to put the juice in vegetables, you know. And also, you know, spiritual warfare, feeding our people Christianity, you know, genetical warfare, you know, looking to hack, you know, your DNA, you know, with the juicy juice, man, with the devil's Kool-Aid, you know, misinformation about who you are, telling you you're black, Native American, you know, Hispanic, Latino, some names he made up, Jamaican, Peruvian, Mexican, you know, that's disinformation. That's misinformation. Back to the point. It says mass casualty attacks and the acts of targeted violence conducted by lone offenders and small groups acting in furtherance of ideological beliefs and or personal grievances pose an ongoing threat to the nation. But that's what you do around the world. You go around committing, you know, mass murder, mass casualty, you know, bombing children for money, oil, and drugs, you know? Gold, oil, and drugs. Because, you know, your money is, God is your money, man, you know? That's who your God is. Money, power, greed, yourself, you know? And it says the Department of Homeland Security continued adding that some individuals, and Salaka for this video playing, I mean, I'm trying to get it off my screen. Hopefully it doesn't get my channel hit. Salakia. But it says, and disclaimer, I wasn't trying to play that video. It just was on my screen. It doesn't want to go off. Let's get that video off, though. It says, the Department of Homeland Security continued that some individuals are seeking to sow discord and undermine public trust in the United States government institutions. Wonder who they're talking about. Some individuals, the bulletin alleged, are calling for violence against critical infrastructure, faith-based institutions like churches or synagogues, colleagues, government personnel or facilities, and other targets. Let me see. This is the point right here. It says the agency did not elaborate or provide additional evidence for its allegations. The Department of Homeland Security also listed online claims of election fraud as a distributor, and it also did not provide additional details or evidence. You know? So they're saying that if you distrust, you know, their report, let's just read it. An example of key factors allegedly contribute to the heightened threat environment, the Department of Homeland Security said there are misleading narratives around the whole thing. You know, the thing that's been causing people to have to go into the local 7-Eleven where you're at looking like a surgeon, man, you know, with that mask on, and claim that some individuals have used the thing, mandates, or the Kool-Aid to carry out attacks since 2020. Okay. Accusations. Next article. And it reads, let's get a quick precept. Just real quick. Psalms 58 and 19. And 19. And it says, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. And that's this man's, MO, man. You know? To lie, cheat, steal from people. You know, he never gets tired of doing wickedness, man, because he is the wicked. He'll cheat you out of, everything, lie on you, steal from you, and then turn around and blame it all on you. Say you did it. Psalms 50:20, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. And, he's our wicked brother, man. Because Esau, Edom, he comes from the line of Shem too. They're Shemitic people, but they're not from the line of Jacob, man. They don't come from the chosen line. They came out of Isaac, but they're a separate nation. It says, Psalms 50:20, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Talking about Jacob and Esau, two nations. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. And that's what he's doing in the media right now, making diss tracks, slandering, and creating a narrative so he can point the finger and blame us, to blame Jake, and then blame the prophets as being the head cause of everything. This is the next article, February 11th. As far as the release date of the article, this article was released the 8th, last week. And it reads, Biden regime declares those who question official government juice narratives to be terrorists. Insane war on the American people has been launched. Just read the first paragraph, and it reads, and this came out from naturalnews.com, as the militant left works hard to cancel anyone who isn't down for the regime's narratives, aka, you're not bending over, you're not bowing down to Baal, you're not giving in. The Biden regime is preparing to literally target anyone who supports President Donald Trump's America First agenda, branding them as domestic terrorists and anti-government zealots. There goes that term, domestic terrorists, And that's what you are. You're a domestic terrorist. What you did to the tribes of Reuben and Gad, that wasn't domestic terrorism. Coming here and damn near slaughtering all the natives, that wasn't domestic terrorism, right? What you did to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, that's not domestic terrorism as far as you're concerned, right? And then when you bring it up, it's critical race theory, and then you're passing laws to try to hide the truth, and if you bring it up, we can sue you, so on and so forth. You're making us feel bad. You're making us remember our dirty past. And it reads, according to the Department of Homeland Security bulletin published earlier this week, the regime has singled out everyone who they claim is responsible for a proliferation of false or misleading narratives as a top terrorism threat. It's a war on truth, man. That's what it is. It's a war on, the truth and truth as a whole, because you got people who aren't, as far as a part of the body, but they bring out useful information that the prophets are able to dissect through the Holy Scriptures, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. Let's get Galatians 4:16. I was going to get it after this article, but we'll get it now. And then we'll read it again, if the Spirit permits. Galatians 4:16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And that's what we're doing. All we're telling you is, thus say Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. And it reads, Salakia, Department of Homeland Security, Biden's Department of Homeland Security labels misinformation. There goes that terminology, misinformation, domestic terrorists. You know, expect to see those terminologies thrown more and more and more out there this year. And then them labeling a narrative around those terminologies towards Jake and towards the prophets as being the head of that whole, that whole narrative through the Spirit. Biden's Department of Homeland Security labels misinformation about 5G to be a domestic terror threat. Okay. Is it starting to sound authoritarian? Is it starting to sound dictator-like? These people, are they starting to sound, like China? And it reads, President Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security, DHS, is attempting to silence independent media personalities talking about the dangers of 5G cellular technology by labeling them as domestic terrorists who represent a threat to the American homeland. Wow. Let's read this second paragraph. We'll move on. According to a recent bulletin published by DHS, or published by Homeland Security on its website, subtitled Summary of Terrorism Threats to the U.S. Homeland, the country supposedly remains in a heightened threat environment for terrorism. And you're the terrorist. That's why nobody wants you as far as having a military base in their country, man. Because as soon as you go there, you end up pillaging the land, You leave it as, a land that's been beaten, bruised with the scars of having Esau Edom go there and steal, rob, and kill. You're that thief that Yahushua was talking about. Galatians 4:16 again. Now, Galatians 4:16 again. And it reads, Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And it's all we're telling people, man, the truth. It's all good. You're doing what you're supposed to do. For good is set against evil. That's what it says in the scriptures. And the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshai is not going to come back void. So we have the understanding of who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and where you're going to take this, As far as you have to do what the scriptures say you're going to do. And the scriptures say you're going to invoke martial law. You're going to be throwing people in the camps, and you're already doing that in Australia. There are literally videos of people coming to the Aborigine, areas where they live at in vans, and then pulling up in the, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you better watch for the sweep van. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you better watch for the sweep, in the juvenile van. And snatching Aborigines up and taking them to the places, man. The places as far as those relocation facilities. Next article. And it reads, China's health code surveillance system now used to monitor citizens and restrict their movement. So China's already in the end game as far as, Orwellian societies, man. And it reads, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, reproposed a health tracking system as a surveillance tool from its original purpose to curb the spread of the thing. The health code system is now used to monitor citizens and restrict their movement. I mean, it gets no more plain than that as far as, what these people are doing and where these people want to take this. Let's read the second paragraph. It's pretty interesting. Now, I haven't read any of these articles, just read the headers, and it's like, hey, just do a lesson. And it says the health code system was first used in the city of, can't pronounce that. It originally had 3 colors, green, yellow, and red. You know, pretty much that's it. You can see what they're doing in China. And they're slowly but surely making the world into China. What I mean by that, this is what you have going on in Babylon the Great. You see these lights popping up everywhere, these blue lights. And a brother actually from the Boise camp, he brought this up as far as on IG, you know, as far as these lights are popping up in his city, you know, and these lights are popping up all around the country. Milwaukee, Slovakia. Well, I had it pulled up. Milwaukee, you know, and you have these lights popping up in other places as well. Let's just show it real quick. You know, and this is happening in the city of San Diego as well, you know. But one thing I noticed when I looked this up, this is an old article, but it reads, San Diego to deploy world's largest city-based Internet of Things platform using smart street lights. And it reads, the Department of Homeland Security, the city of San Diego, is partnering with General Electric to upgrade street lights to reduce energy costs. Yeah. As well as transform them into a connected digital network that can optimize parking and traffic, enhance public safety, and track air quality. It's not all they're trying to track with the Internet of Things. That's why those lights are set up all over the place. That's a different lesson. I got to talk in code because of YouTube guidelines. You know, this channel's been hit a few times and just got 1 strike removed, so it doesn't have 2 strikes anymore. So this is the book of Ezekiel, the 12th chapter, and we'll wind on down as far as the last few precepts. And it reads, Ezekiel 12:21, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying what? Son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged, and every vision faileth? And that's the attitude of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans when we're out there on the highways and byways, when we do our lessons, you know. But mostly, you know, when they see us out there on the highways and byways, Jake comes up to scoff and mock most of the time and not believe, you know. Or they say that we're crazy, we're bugged out. But what's slowly and surely starting to happen is that Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is delivering on everything that we're saying. It's starting to happen and manifest in the earth. You know? This is I had a little earlier. See if I can still grab it. The book of Isaiah 44:24. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. And that's what Yahweh Bashim Yahshai told Jeremiah. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Roughly paraphrasing. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord Yahweh, that maketh all things new, that maketh all things slacky. I am the Lord Yahweh, that maketh all things, and stretcheth forth the heavens alone, and that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. You know, and eventually he's going to make all things new. Once he takes Esau, Edom out of power, you know, the earth is going to become a paradise again, you know, all over again, man. And that's when Yahweh Shai cracks the sky. And that's what we're prophesying, is that the Lord's coming back to do that, man. Isaiah 44:25. Isaiah 44:25. That frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad, that turneth wise men backward and maketh their knowledge foolish. You know? And that's what this word is doing. It's frustrating the tokens of the liars, and it's exposing Esau Edom for who he is. You know? Isaiah 44:26, that confirmeth the word of his servant. And who were his servants? The prophets. You know? And performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah, ye shall be built up, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof. Talking about the house of David, you know? And Yahweh Shema Shai is raising up, you know, the ruins, you know, as far as the house of David, man. Those dead bodies getting up, as far as the valley of dry bones, the sinews coming on them, the flesh, and then eventually the breath, the rakha. And that's how he's stirring up our pure minds by way of remembrance through this word going out. As this word goes out, things happen in the earth that men are saying, because we have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, which is the spirit of prophecy, which is the highest gift you can be given, man, you know, from the Lord in this eon, in this age, is knowledge and the wisdom of the scriptures, knowledge and wisdom of prophecy, knowledge and wisdom of your enemy, knowledge and wisdom of who you are, you know, real self-knowledge, you know. This is the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter and the 1st verse, and it reads, this second epistle, beloved, going into the house of David. Now I write unto you in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. And how is that? Through this word. 2 Peter 3:2, that ye be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets. And whenever Yahweh Shema Shai would be ready on his end to destroy a kingdom and bring them down, he would send out his prophets, you know, to give warning, you know, and to tell what was going to happen, you know. 2 Peter 3:2, that you be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandments of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior. And, you know, those men, you know, who were given the understanding back then, you know, they had a job and a duty, you know, and that same legacy is being continued right now with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down. This is the book of Jeremiah, the 28th chapter. I'm going to start with the 7th verse, and it reads, nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears and in the ears of all the people. Because all the world has to hear this word, man. Because there's a message for everybody. There's a message for the heathen. You got your judgment coming, man. You know, there's the message to Esau, Edom. Oh yeah, after the, you know, 1,000 years of captivity and, you know, you getting your judgment on that, you're going to get destroyed. And rejoice now, O daughter of Edom. Go live it up. You know, you only got a few more seconds on the shot clock, but hey, go do that, man. You know, and there's a message for the believers. Salvation is nigh. Redemption is nigh. You know, you're a royal people, man. The real kings and priests of this world, man. Yahweh Shema Shai made the world for our sakes, brothers and sisters. You know, he made it for our sakes, man. You know, these heathen, they just get their little eon and age to rule in, but we have a rulership coming up that's going to be an eternal one, man. And that's what our hope is in, is to be a part of the first dominion of that eternal rulership, man. As far as the men, you know. Jeremiah 28:8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, And that's what you have going on worldwide, man. You have war being ready to be brewed up, you know. You have evil in its, you know, in its perfection, you know. And Yahweh Shem Shai, he made Esau Edom to be the perfect devil, man. It's an example of how not to run a kingdom, you know, how not to rule. And righteous rulership is coming back to the planet, you know, starting with Yahweh Shai and the elect, the governing body, you know. Because when the elect, you know, are put in rulership, you know, start with Yahweh Shai being the head, you know, of the governing body, you know, righteousness is going to be established in the earth. You know, we're not going to have to teach our own people, because our own people are going to have the law, statutes, and commandments written in their inward parts. You know, we're going to be perfect. But the heathen nations, you know, they're going to have to keep our ways, man. And the commandments, you know, they give you life, man. You know, this is Jeremiah 28:7 in the contemporary English version. Let's read it. And it says, "But let me remind you and everyone else," which is, you know, Jeremiah 28:7 in the KJV, better yet. It says, "Nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears and in the ears of all the people." This is the book of Jeremiah, the 28th chapter, and the 7th verse. And it reads, "But let me remind you and everyone else that long before me, that long before we were born, prophets were saying powerful kingdoms would be struck by war, disaster, and disease." And that's what we're saying. You know, this kingdom is going to be struck, you know, with the plagues and their perfection. You know, because you have witness. It's polluted the whole earth, you know, and their hurtful works are fulfilled, man. This is 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. And let's start with the first verse. Let's get a few more precepts after this and we'll wrap on up. This is 2nd Ezra 9:1. "He answered me and said, Measure thou the time diligently." And this is the angel Uriel talking to Ezra, you know, a.k.a. Esdras. Esdras is just the Greek way of saying Ezra. The book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, in the 4th verse, and it reads, "He answered me," Uriel talking to Ezra, "and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before." And that's what we're starting to see, you know, those checkpoints on the spiritual checklist to watch for before our Lord returns, you know. Civil unrest, you know, war talk, big war talk, Russia being involved, you know, this man pushing the charagma, you know, this man looking to, you know, set up martial law, this man speaking like a dragon, you know, this man slowly but surely creating a narrative around misinformation, disinformation, and public untrust, as far as eventually to blame the men who are out here teaching this word, you know, and to blame Jake in general. This is 2nd Ezra 9:2. All of these are signs that the Lord is nigh, man, you know. This is 2nd Ezra 9:2. "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." And this world is being visited, man. If you don't, have the eye salve to see that, better throw some prayers, because we see, this is clear to us through the Spirit. 2 Ezra 9:3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, and that's what you have. Earthquakes at an all-time high, upwards of the people in the world at an all-time high. Why? Because the wicked is in authority, and he's about to be taken out of power. When the Lord returns, it's not going to be, the day that you portray it is, kisses and roses and hugs. No, he's coming to send massive death, through the chariots, through the elect who are going to get spiritual power, through chariot fire, through the ICBMs. Second Ezra 9:4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. How did he speak about those things? Through the prophets, This is Hosea 12:10. Slaki. Hosea 12:10. And it reads, not red, Slaki, it's a little late over here. And it reads, Hosea 12:10, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. So that's how the Lord speaks, is he uses the prophets, This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse, and it reads, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. And that's what we're prophesying and telling people. The Lord's coming back, man. This is 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse. Now we beseech you, brethren. Key word, brethren. Because Paul was writing this letter to Thessalonica, but he was writing this letter to Israelites who were dwelling in Thessalonica. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him. And that's how we're gathering together, through the word, by the word of the Holy One, Seek ye out the book of the Lord and read. For none shall want her mate, For my mouth it had commanded, in his spirit it had gathered them. That's how we're being gathered, through this word. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful act that's being, done. The second book of Acts, man. And us getting this understanding, man, it's powerful, because for what happened to, Judah and Benjamin and Levi, Gad, Reuben, all the tribes, it's an actual miracle that we have the understanding. And we're standing on our feet in great boldness, telling this man to his face, what's going to happen to him through the Spirit, man. And that's biblical prophecy. It has to happen. But, call all Yahweh Shemi Shai that, we're in the movie, so far. So far, so good, And Thawadi Abba Shemi Shai for another day. And Thawadi Abba Shemi Shai for the Spirit to do this lesson. This is 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him. Where two or more are gathered in the name, I am in the midst of thee. That's what the scriptures say, man. And we're going to tell you, thus saith the Lord. We don't give a damn about your feelings. If you're offended, oh well. For what if some did not believe? It's all good. This is next verse. That ye should not be soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. And that's our message, is the day of Hamashiach is at hand. The day of the Lord returning is nigh. For lift up your heads, for our redemption draweth nigh. That's like it. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that's what happens. We had to fall away, AKA the sons of God, the Nephilim. That's talking about us, man, who fell away, who've come back to the understanding through the Spirit, The Nephilim, they're not fallen angels like they teach at GOCC, because those guys go into the book of Enoch, which, spoiler alert, I was actually going to go into that in my next lesson through the Spirit, Lord willing. But we're those fallen ones, and it's an act of mercy on the Lord's behalf to give us back the understanding, because he didn't have to choose us. He could have chose somebody else, as far as us, having this wisdom and knowledge, man, through the Spirit. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that's what he told the prophet Jeremiah. You shall discontinue from your heritage, And that's a prophecy that had to happen, from the sons of God falling away because of the transgression of Adam. And then slowly but surely, our people being totally gone, man, from 70 AD to 1970, not knowing who they were, lost, confused, so on and so forth. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, which had to happen. It's a part of the story. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Who's that man of sin? Esau, Edom. For I made Esau bare. Well, this man has nowhere to hide himself, man. There's spiritual darts going out around the clock, aka lessons, epistles going up constantly, exposing your wickedness, man. You can't stop it. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High. That's his attitude. I am, Man has a God complex, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sit in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And that's what he's done as far as iconoclasm. But he's going to try to take it one step further and to basically do that through the charagma, as far as him portraying himself as the Most High. I will be like the Most High, This is the book of 2 Thessalonians 2 and 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Who? Esau, For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let. And that's Yahweh Bashim Yashai building this man up so we can tear him down. So he can show his power. So the Lord gets all the glory. Until he be taken out of the way. And that's what's going to happen to Esau, man. He's going to be taken out of the way. He shall fly away as a dream. There shall be none remaining of the house of Esau, man, when it's all said and done. And knowing this story, as far as the storyline, as far as, through the Spirit, of course, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yashai, knowing what's going to happen to them, knowing that, the elect get the victory, the beast doesn't win, those things are comforting, man, especially when you're new in this truth, it's a newcomer coming in, because you hear you're Israelite, you get woken up as far as the understanding of that, but it's like, okay, what's next? Then you start to get edified and you start to know, okay, well, okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, Esau, okay, tell me more. Yeah, okay, Obadiah 1:18, okay. Oh yeah, okay. Jeremiah 30:16, okay. Oh yeah, Isaiah 14:2, what? Oh man, I can't wait. Psalms 2:8, Revelation 2:25-27. Psalms 137, 7-9, Psalms 149, 5-9. What? Man. Okay. Knowing those things are comforting, man. Because for the average everyday so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American that doesn't have this truth, they're walking around in a dumb, deaf state and mad at the world because, they're confused, man. They know that there's something special, about, our people, because our people have a zeal and they know that there's a power. Most of them, they acknowledge that there's a power of heaven and earth, but Yahweh Shema Shai, he has an angel around them blocking their understanding, so they can't get it. They don't have the comforter, which is in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter. Let's just get that. Instead of quoting it, Ecclesiastes 4:1. So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold the tears of such as were oppressed. And it says in the Apocrypha, the tears of the widow. It's lucky. Yep. This is the book of Sirach 35:15. Do not the tears run down the widow's cheeks? And is not her cry against him that causeth them to fall? And it was Esau, who was right there, every single time the temple was sacked, man. The Edomites, as far as the Greeks during the Maccabees, 70 AD, and then him teaming up with the Babylonians, man. It was him who was there on the other side of, the pictures where, the bison, they would kill off, a lot of the livestock as far as Gad, so on and so forth, trying to take out Gad and Reuben. It was him on the other side of the picture, when Jake was being hung, as far as lynchings, and we're crying out. That widow was talking about the elect, Adam Ratazah, Yahweh Ratazah, we be of that number, But the elect are crying out to get avenged, to get avenged of our adversaries, man. Luke the 18th chapter, And the unrighteous judge, as far as, that's being talked about in the book of Luke, the 18th chapter, is Esau Edom, And he's guilty, man, Sirach 35:15, do not the tears run down the cheek. It's like, do not the tears run down the widow's cheeks, And is not her cry against him that causeth them to fall. And this is also, you can also pair this up with Ezekiel 9:4, Put a mark, set a mark upon the forehead of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Yeah, okay. Ecclesiastes 4:1. So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. It's talking about Jake that don't have the understanding, man. And it's sad to see, but it's a part of the movie. And that's the bitter part of the truth is, you know, your favorite cousin, you know, auntie, so on and so forth, they may not get it, man, you know? And that's something that we got to live with on this side, you know? And that's even more reason to keep striving and keep going, because the truth is that precious. That, you know, your favorite, you know, homeboy from, you know, the world or the block, or, you know, your favorite classmate, you know, you both y'all went to college together, you know, or so on and so forth, your homeboy from, you know, the sandbox, he's not going to get it, man, most of the time. And they had no comforter, and on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. And Esau, you know, he's been given the power to lie to Jake, and Jake, you know, because they don't have the comforter, they have an angel blocking their understanding, so they can't see and can't hear. Jake falls for it, you know, and is walking around dead from the neck up in a state of black unconsciousness, you know, native pride, you know, Latino pride, brown pride, so on and so forth, not knowing, you know, getting the real understanding, you know. And this truth is precious, man. Cherish it. 2 Thessalonians 2:7, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And he's going to be taken out of the way. That's a part of the message, man. That's a part of the gospel. That's the good news. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall thou wicked be revealed. This is talking about Esau. And he's being revealed, you know. For inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, you know. Therefore he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid. He can't hide, man. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall thou wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And who's the spirit of the Lord's mouth? His prophets, you know, who have the spirit, the Racha, you know. And spiritual power is here, brothers. You know, you believe, you got the Holy Spirit, you know, you're able to understand this doctrine. That's spiritual power, man. You know, but spiritual power on another level is coming, you know. If you go into that word Racha, it means warlike energy, prophetic spirit, you know. We have the gift of prophecy now, but eventually Yahweh Shemi Shai is going to raise the stakes, man. That's a part of the glory. The celestial bodies eventually, you know, that are going to come when you get that crown. Once again, we got a vast future ahead of us, but we got to endure these tough times, you know, and cherish this truth while we're in this eon, because it's going to lead to our salvation, you know. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. You know, when Yahweh Shai cracks the sky, all bets are off, man. He's going to set down the heathen. He's going to set up a kingdom wherein dwelleth righteousness, man. The earth's going to go back to being a paradise. You're going to not have any worries about Esau, Edom, you know, trying to teach your children the Rainbow Coalition, you know, saying he can identify as a 9-year-old, you know, dog, a female dog, you know, if he's a 11-year-old boy. You're not going to have to worry about that, you know. Him trying to snatch your child up and, you know, make McDonald's, you know, burgers out of him, you know, sacrifice him on the idol, so on and so forth. You're not going to have to worry about that, man, you know. And that's a part of the good news as well, man, is, you know, knowing those things are to come. But hey, enough of me rambling. Lord's will, you know, you found this lesson edifying. I'd like to close on out. You know, pretty much the point was, points were hit as far as the, you know, the articles and so on and so forth. So in closing, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Raha Kodash. Double honors unto the head apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom unto the elders and the elder bishops of Great Millstone as well. Peace, love, salutations unto the hopeful elect, and hearty shalom to the prophets and servants of Yahweh Shemi Shai, doing this work all around the globe giving diligence to make their calling and election sure. Shalom, shalom. And until next time, next lesson, shalom, DTA, wa abba, ba. Soon. Shalom.